You can see here how dirty and dusty things are. You can see just in here. Let's get the focus right. Yep, that side over there is where I cleaned it yesterday. And you'd have thought that this is mouldy linen, given the state of the dust. But today's job is just to clean on this side. As you can see, very, 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 very dirty. Now, as I said, I made these. I mean, we've been in this house now for 25 years, and so it's been on a shelf up on the top level of a bookcase for 25 years. So this will be the first time I've really cleaned it in all that time. All right, so picking up where we left off yesterday, you can see here, if I just try and lift that up, you can see underneath there, it's the natural colour. This is filth. And look at that. I mean, as I said before, this model has been sitting on a bookshelf for 25 years since we moved into this house, and has not been basically cleaned since then. It never seemed to get dirty, particularly dirty, but when you take it down and have a close look at it, suddenly you realise how bad, how unclean it is. So, there we go. Anyway, yesterday I said that this, which is the polar exploration ship Discovery, was preserved as a museum ship. Well, I said it was in Aberdeen, and that's wrong. I checked it out, and it's in Dundee. And my wife and I visited it. It's got a nice little museum there. That's Scott expedition and some of the other previous famous expeditions. Oops. Around the beginning of the 1900s to the polar regions. It really, really was a very different world. It was at the far end of the known world back in those days. And this is at a time when most of the world was very well known, but Antarctica was was terra incognita. It's a good read. There's a good book, several good books about the various expeditions. The Endurance expedition, the one that got stuck in the ice, is a very good one. Very good book to read. Amazing story of survival. Definitely worth reading about. Another thing that's it's not an expeditionary actual history, but this period of history where Antarctica was being explored for the first time, and people were suddenly aware that there was a continent that sat underneath the ice, and a long lost sort of history it existed there that was completely hidden from the world. came about was encouraged the American horror writer, weird tales writer, H.P. Lovecraft to write At the Mountains of Madness, which is an excellent story. It's certainly one of his best. Actually, in talking about H.P. Lovecraft, I think personally I find The Call of Cthulhu is actually the better story. That's really interesting. Again, he was obviously reading a lot of contemporary scientific expeditions and reports of expeditions going to these strange places of the world in the early 1910s and 20s, and incorporated that sort of milieu into his work, which gives it it is grounded in something. Whoops! Oh, gee, that's hazardous. I guess I really shouldn't have that standing there, should I? It's kind of asking for trouble. We'll just move that out of the way. As I said in my previous video, I'm amazed. I mean, this apart from the one sail, which is just over here, that's the only thing that's broken. Touch wood on this model in the 25 years that it's sat on the shelf. All the other ones have had some damage. They've had things knock into them, or the sails and things have broken. The yard arms, they're all very, very, very delicate pieces. So it's not a surprise. But this one has surprisingly survived without any damage. I'm saying that, I'm crossing my fingers. Crossing my fingers not to do any damage to it. You're trying to clean them. So where was I? I was just mentioning H.P. Lovecraft. He's a very interesting writer. Some of his stories are not... I wouldn't say that they're very good, necessarily. But what he was really good at was creating an atmosphere. And he was writing in that sort of weird tales, short story realm. Where a pulp writer could pump out a load of copy, I guess. The stories didn't need to be particularly well written necessarily, and they would be sold to all these magazines that probably had relatively low quality control, quality standards. But he had many very interesting ideas. Anyway, that's going a little bit off track, but certainly very interesting. The whole story about At the Mountains of Madness is about an expedition in the 1920s going to Antarctica and making its way by airplane, actually, deep into the heart of this continent. And they find there's a whole mountain range there, hidden beneath the ice. And in the very centre of the continent, there is the remains of an ancient city that was built by alien beings that has been there for millions and millions of years. And they come to realise that the world as they knew it, the the two explorers who get there, that the world, as they understand it, is really not what it is. Man is just a more recent arrival. When I say arrival, I don't mean we arrived, but necessarily. What I mean is that his time as being the dominant force on the planet is very small, and that there were previous entities that lived here long before us, and what they have left behind has the power to destroy us. It's a common theme in his writing and in amongst many other writers who followed his work. Anyway, that'll probably do for the moment. I'm just going to keep on doing this. I've probably got several more hours of dibbling around with a one of these cotton bud to try and clear off all this dirt and dust. So I'll come back in a while and I'll show you how we've been going since then. And there's another 2 ships to do after this one. I built 4 ships back in the 1980s, and then they've sat on a shelf ever since. So they're all equally filthy. And they all need a little bit of maintenance. So that's it for the moment.